on people.
The United States of America, and to the republic from which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go into public comment, what I would like to do is bring up a matter. I'd like to be able to propose a motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, before we get into that, the board did meet on Monday evening in executive session and also just before this meeting, executive session. To get moving remarks. Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, what you're asking for is if there is any supervisor that would like to entertain a motion for potentially reorganizing the agenda structure.
Yeah. I'd like to entertain. I put forth a motion to change the agenda part or A. I would like to move. My motion is to move 4A down to the bottom of the agenda. Press it at that point in time.
After each, Mr. Chairman.
After yes. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. I'll put forward a non-conforming. Sorry. Before we start, I want to open this up for public comment on the agenda items. Is there anyone that would like to come up here, you can give your name, your address, and you could discuss anything that. I think that silence means that we will move on. On the consent agenda, I have a motion. Do we have any before we go for the any questions? Financials, the minutes. Motion to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. The next part on the agenda here is item 3, presentation. This is from the EAC board.
Yep.
Hello, hi. I'm Elaine Molino, chair of the EAC, and having you here tonight. I want to update the board on some of the things the EAC is doing and some of the things that the EAC wants to do, which is moving to support and help on.
Technology is wonderful, except when it doesn't work.
Well, it's probably works. I'm just.
We're not blaming it on operator error this time.
There we go. Okay. So today we had an event down at the park, an invasive plant cleanup event, and it was a very good cleanup event. John Osbach was there, our township arborist, and 3 of his workers, and altogether we had 11 hard workers volunteering. Saved on both sides of the stream on the down by the tennis. Really close one. Back there paths so that we could go in and get other invasives in the future. You can actually get down to the stream now. It is, I mean, it really is amazing seeing trees. There are individual trees there now. They're just covered with vines. So so that was today, and we had, as I said, altogether 11 people that worked hard, and each East Vincent Township volunteer received a tree. they would be very happy. And I hope they- Um. So, our next event, which is next Thursday evening, is, a Healthy Yards event here in the township building. So I'm hoping that you all come out and listen to how to keep your yard, nicely native and pleasant for the insects and animals to live in. So far, we have certified 18 residents for the Healthy Yard program, and that's a lot. That's a lot of people that are interested in this kind of thing, and of course, not everybody gets certified. So this way, they can try again, and the survey is set up to educate people on why certain things are good for their yards and other things aren't good for them. So it's a wonderful program. Everybody gets that little sign there. You can see it. I'd just like to read out the names of the most recent certified participants. Linda Bashi, Ann Denton, Kristen Bispels, Loretta Brienzo Lumen, Sue Hewitt Singer, Deborah Veneziali, Carrie Hooper, Laura Roth, and Susie Mormon. So, I mean, it's really growing. It's wonderful. I don't know. That's for the participant. All right, so, slide 4. So this is something that, we, would like to talk about with the board. The EAC passed a motion to expand the EAC from 5 to 7 members. We really work hard, the members of the EAC. We all have our different expertises. And there are a lot of things we would like to do to expand the program. And we can't, we don't have time to do it ourselves. There are other residents in the township who are really interested in this kind of thing, environmental issues. I met quite a few of them today. So my thought is, well, if, why not have more members that can add more expertise and more input to the committee? So, so that is a motion we passed to bring here, and of course, this one needs BOS action also.
Our liaison.
Yeah, in principle, I think it's a good idea, but one of the problems we have with it is whenever we have a vacancy, any of our boards, commissions, and committees, it's like we need to get people coming forward.
Yeah, I understand that, and so it's worth trying.
Well, I'm inclined to agree. So, I require the motion, we simply ask Julie to,
Yeah, so what I'll do is just, I understand what the request is of the EAC. This would require eventually an ordinance being passed by the board, and would amend the township's administrative portion of its code. I'll get started on drafting that ordinance, and then we'll bring it forward to the board for consideration.
Thank you very much, because as I said, I did meet some very interested people.
Right.
Just Elaine, so that you're comfortable with this, I've had someone whispering in my ear gently over here, suggesting that that would be ready for August. So we'll bring that forward.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
We'll try and find some.
That's it.
Oh, my.
That part.
So why are we so busy? So I wanted to list some of the projects we have in progress right now. Now, I'm not going to go into them deeply, but for instance, the EAC has been getting together every 4th Wednesday on a Zoom meeting, going over the natural resource zoning. And we have made a presentation on April 23rd, I think it was, to the township manager and the consultants of all the things we would like to see in a new natural resource zoning amendment of the whole natural resources section. I don't know. I'm going to talk about this again a little bit later, so that takes up a lot of time. You do that. The second thing is the Clean Water Committee. We have a few ongoing clean water initiatives. And again, I will have future slides to talk about individual things we do. The Clean Water Committee consists of people on the EAC Council and then other volunteers that are around to help when we need them.
Yes, Mr. Brancato, it does create some issues, none of them insurmountable, but we would probably want the board to approve any subcommittees of a committee be approved before they're actually formed and officially part of the committee or a subcommittee of the committee. Also, if there are subcommittees formed like this, there is the potential for them to also, they are public bodies, and should hold meetings subject to public advertisement and public participation. So again, nothing insurmountable, but we want to make sure that we're just following the rules that we have to follow.
Are there any issues having non-committee members come as volunteers?
No.
Just a question, how many subcommittees are there?
Yes, well, so we have the Clean Water Committee, I guess we should call them subcommittees, but we're the council, so these are committees of the council. The East Vincent Blooms Committee, which that committee just worked on the invasive plant removal, planted the pocket forest, which I'll talk about in a little minute, and also the community garden.
Elaine, would these these committees meet on the same evening as the whole committee and then just have a breakout session, so to speak?
We don't even have breakout sessions, they just come.
They just come. Okay. On the same night, and we could put the EAC meets, and we'll just put a time with it so that, you know, we know that these folks are meeting as well.
Well, they're just part of them. What we're doing now is on our agenda, everybody writes a report of what they were doing. So and so that report is part of the agenda, and people read it, and if they have any questions, they ask. If not, we move on. Otherwise, so that report will be.
What we're talking about is public notice. So
I know,
we're creating separate subcommittees. It's something even if we're the same thing, so I suppose that each committee has to be listed in the public notice.
Yes, and it has to be just like any other regular committee. There should be a advertisement.
It's all one meeting.
No, I was saying, work with
No, I
and edit.
Yeah, okay, I will, sure. All right.
Elaine, let me ask. If you took the word committee out. If we said.
Yes, that's really what it is, really. Nobody is elected to the committee, nobody, I don't have a list of members, they just attend. I know they're to help them.
Yeah, we'll work with them. Yeah, we'll
Well,
work
I
with you.
understand because the problem here, that's So right now, we have the Clean Water Committee and the East Vincent Blooms Committee. Also, at our meetings, if there are any planned developments coming in, we discuss those and what the environmental issues of those developments. We have the Healthy Yards program, which is really expanding and needs a lot of work also. And we're doing a stormwater meadow restoration out front here. This stormwater basin is supposed to be catching the water from, coming out from the township building, going into the basin, of course, the driveway in, but it's not, it's actually coming. So, Michelle Adams and Mike, wrote a grant to fix that. And when the basin is fixed, then we will also restore the meadow, which right now is mostly invasive plants. Okay, so those are a few of the things we're doing. Yes, right? Now, we wanted to, where this whole committee came up, introduce another committee, the litter lifters. But we don't have the members to do that right now. Nobody really, we need more people. And so well, that's one of the reasons we'd like to expand the EAC to 7 members, to have someone that would like to take that on also. And in that discussion, Chris Canali said that he cleans up 724 all the way from where he lives, which is down by the old building, Rockefeller Tavern, all the way down to Wawa. And that he does that with other business owners along 724, and he would love to expand that and take care of 724. But again, we don't want that committee to form, or whatever we want to call it, until we have more members. It's the whole committee. I'm just the messenger. All right, then another event we've had down in the park is we've planted this pocket forest. A pocket forest is a kind of a new concept where you plant trees and bushes, overstory and understory native plants all together, very close together. And then they're just small, they're small, plants. And then they grow up together. And that's the idea. That's my wording, sorry. And they force each other to grow taller immediately. And then, over the years, they learn how to work together like a forest does. I don't want to go into all that, but it's not the same thing as planting individual trees. It's actually, it says, I'll read it here, I can read it. It says a pocket forest is a small, densely planted, diverse collection of native tree and shrub species. And we planted 42 of these plants, and we saw them today, and they're actually doing very well. Happy about that. So what we want, the reason I have this slide up here, other than to show you some of the things, is that it needs a sign, like the other signs along the trails, pointing out environmental things. So we asked Todd Palmer to come and look at it, and he's going to make a sign that fits in with the other signs along the path. That's budgeted. We take that out of our budget. Okay, well, here it is. I mean, that's really what I'm here for. Just make sure that you know what we're doing. It's okay.
No, again, it's something we can get on a future agenda. The board could not take action on it this evening just because it wasn't on the agenda for action. But whatever that cost is, there's also a procurement policy that's in place, and Bob has certain authority up to a certain number where it may be that it's under that number, and it could just be approved through Bob. And then the bill will be approved when the bill list comes through the board of supervisors.
Okay, I'm really not up on how the budget works, but whenever it works, we'll have Todd do it, right? When we approve.
It just again, reach out to Bob and we'll get the specifics, and we'll make sure that it gets approved in the appropriate way.
Also, we have money in our budget to for educational purposes. And Chris Valley has lead certification of other sorts, and he would like to pursue getting lead certification in data center design and construction. And we thought that would be a good thing, considering what is being considered in the township. That's also part of our budget. We encourage that kind of education. Last year, I earned the Pennsylvania Master Naturalist certification. Monica became a certified Master Watershed Steward, required many, many classes, and so that's what we would like to do. And again, I don't know, I thought we just had to, if it was in the budget, we just had to ask to have it, but I guess. Comment on that?
No, you're right. You have to ask and then have board take action. It's no problem. We were just talking about it over here on the side. Bob thinks it's a good idea. It's under his authority, so we're just getting passed through.
So when we have our meetings and we decide things like this, we should immediately contact Bob.
That's the idea. When in doubt, call Bob.
All right. Next, the Clean Water Committee is planning on doing an HOA outreach initiative. I've worked with Rachel Griffiths and Chester County. I was attending a seminar they were giving on outreach to the HOAs. I'm on a special committee continuing that outreach, and we would like to try to reach out to one of our HOAs. Actually, the one that I'd like to pilot with has had their president attending these seminars also. Chester County has a whole program to help, an active program to do that. So again, this is something we would like to do also. There's a lot of things in, this was all related to the grant we put forward last year on Stony Run restoration, which we didn't get, but this was one of the things in the grant that we wanted to do. So this grant that we didn't get, we would also like to put forth another grant. We need township help that we don't know how to write grant.
You can ask for help too.
Right down there. Right there. He volunteered, I just volunteered. Free of charge.
Let me go back to that. Now, when we, yeah, all right, let's just move on. I don't want to take over. So, then the other thing is we do have a junior member. We recruit them in their sophomore year of high school, and they stay for 2 years until they graduate. The reason we want this member is that we're having contact with the youth. They have contact with their friends and other people at the school, and they bring in all kinds of interesting ideas. And they also help. They help with communications, making posters. They're going to help with the Healthy Yards program. So now the thing is, we bring in a junior who then is on the committee for 2 years. And so what we would like to do is every year bring in a junior, so that there are 2 members altogether, but that they're continuous.
So,
It could occur, it should occur during the organizational meeting. It could happen at a different time, depending upon, what is happening with students during the school year. Sometimes it may be easier to get a hold of kids early in the beginning of a school year as opposed to towards the
So in
end.
the beginning of the school year, we ask the teachers, and we have a sophomore attending our meetings right now. He's wonderful, and so he would be in the pool of the next.
Just so that you're aware of what what the board has directed you to do and what Bob has asked me to do for all of the committees, commissions, councils. is to allow for some more flexibility in the number of members. It's kind of at the discretion of the councils, committees, and commissions with board approval. That'll be put into the front end of the township's administrative code to allow you to have more flexibility as a committee. Also, you'll have the ability to have what we're calling 2 junior members. They don't have to be juniors, but if that is what the criteria is for your committee, that's fine, but they'll just be non-voting.
Non-voting, but they always come.
And that also will allow for those subcommittee creations to happen as long as it's approved by the board. So it'll allow them a lot more flexibility.
Yes.
Just right now, we don't have.
Right, I understand, and that's what we're here. Yes, and also the junior member we had before, the current one, is returning, for summer vacation, and she's coming to the meetings also. She actually wanted to know if the township had any jobs for her this. Anything you wanted to do. Then. Almost done. Yeah, so this is the grant I was talking about that was not funded, and we'd like to reapply to support Stone Rock restoration. Yes.
So.
September. I think it opens in September. I think it opens in September.
We have time.
We'll, Supervisor Brian Cuttle, we'll make sure that this gets on an agenda either next month or the following month, just to make sure you're ahead of it, because the recommendation is maybe that the board authorize the application for the grant. Then there'll be in the future, maybe September, or whenever the appropriate time is, a resolution before the board.
And what we've done is we have a running list of. The biggest thing is to monitor the grants. Different grants somewhere else than we will obviously do that. Master list of all the applications. I do, yeah. I actually it's in the back of the
Mark, you do.
The reason we're doing this is the Stony Run is a high quality stream, and it's currently degraded, and it's a lovely little stream, and so the grant essentially in the long run.
Require this one.
Okay, all right.
We're gonna get the motion before us and hopefully it'll pass.
And I think, Mark, you also, I just want to mention the stream monitor. Get some kind, and we've searched around for people to help us do that, and all the organizations are too busy. And it's interesting because they all recommended for
Monitoring is 101. USGS is one of the largest, but they stopped doing it for a bit as well. So there's a sub that kind of what we do with up on the frame software actually monitors that. And Trish how goes to that.
and that's what we use our volunteers for too. That are interested in what they would go out and whatever we need to do about the street. They would help us.
The monitoring is coming.
Well, yeah, so I need to be on this.
Well, yes, but we need something more than that.
What does it mean?
Yeah, how about we work at we'll start with incentive time on
Okay, thank you. This is not mine. We're mine. I'm good at it. So then the last slide is I've mentioned it before. We're trying to work on the natural resource protection ordinance. and to safeguard our natural resources and development. Now, at the meeting that we had with the township, Rick Trellis, our planner, was not there, but he had sent some other person from Natural Lands. I think his name was Rick. And Natural Lands Trust had recently completed East Coventry's ordinance and we thought maybe, well, I mean, it was suggested that he look at it and see what he could do for us using North Coventry's ordinance and along with all the things we had suggested. It was a 2-hour meeting. It was a really good meeting, I thought. So we'd like to go forward with that. I don't know where it is now.
That is being worked on, with Joe, just putting that together with, there's a tree ordinance and there's several other ordinances that, they'll be brought at one time up to the board and then passed down, I would guess, to the various boards and commissions to review them before a final vote by the board.
Okay, so do you need a report on that meeting, or did you take?
No.
Did you take good enough notes?
I'm very familiar with East Coventry's ordinance. I'll be there on Monday night myself. So we can definitely pull from some aspects of that. There are some other ones that I think have other levels of protections that I think we talked about with respect to some of the different orders of streams and
We're
things.
looking at maybe a Stony Run overlay to help, French Creek overlay.
So we'll get something together and then send it around kind of as a preliminary, let's talk about draft. And then once that's kind of vetted, we'll take it to the next step.
And then the other thing we mentioned was a natural resources map for the whole township. That's in our comprehensive plan. You know, find out where our woodlands are, where our wetlands are, where our floodplains are, where the natural resources are that need to be protected. So that's just something that's long term, and we'd like to do something, help and do something. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. What could you say about the natural resources map?
That's something that we'd spoken about, and that's something that Mike will end up again volunteering for free to do those for us. So, but I think that's something you'll end up doing for us, right?
Correct, yeah. So what we've been working on is the old historic called DRT maps and the score maps that have urbanized land. They are all GIS based. And so that GIS base should be an easy one for CNC to grab and to work with to try to put on. So we could add we could add one from all three. We could add one naturally they're already out there on the maps and now.
Chairman, I believe you do have one public comment online. If it's working.
Dana is actually,
Right there.
yeah. You're Dana.
Oh, damn. Hello.
Yeah.
It's coming through.
We've got something to our microphone.
Yes, that if you refer to our fund balance policy and the projections, it's in there to improve the audiovisual and technology in this room.
In circle. Just on the Growing Greener grant, I was looking that up. It said that applications are due by June 20th. This is for Growing Greener Watershed Restoration and Protection Program to restore impaired waters and project waterways from non-port point source pollution. Act 167, stormwater planning grants. I wasn't sure on the timeline, but that's what I'm seeing right now.
That is actually, I believe, Ron Green. We actually do have a project on the. But what Prince Hydro had gone after was a different thing. So there's multiple programs and how they do it. That one, I believe, is for repair of basins and for. But we'll definitely keep it in mind. We don't have to just go after one. We have a running tally project.
Okay, I was just curious if Stony Brook would benefit from applying for this one as well. And then the date was June 20th, so.
Yeah, no, I believe, and if you don't mind, I'll check out from.
Yeah, sure.
But we'll take a look. But I think the one that we're looking at for the first item is more of a. And I don't think we can. Any other comment?
Nothing else online, Mr. Chairman.
I'm moving forward to the agenda for B. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors oppose the zoning hearing board application for business law located at 140. Okay. Two, refer to the application. For review and comment and authorize the concept.
Okay, yes, it was.
So, we're two. So all three are in there, just the one.
Yes, Supervisor Drake, you select the option.
Right, it turns out that, our opposition to the application, there are sections with the applicant that, lead to, that is, advantageous, and Jim will come back to us. We'll assess it, and if we approve we approve and let's have one board. So this will authorize.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll also reach out to counsel for the applicant to make sure that we're not catching anybody off guard. They may choose to delay the hearing if they find out, or when they find out the board has taken action to oppose, and then we'll have an opportunity to discuss any reasonable conditions that the board may want to place on the applicant if it wants to lift its objection. Yes.
Any public comment? I don't see anything online.
Nothing online.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Correct. Correct. That's correct. It is. Sure. Sure. This is helping to develop a new strategic plan here for the township, which will align the township and with the stakeholders of the township or residents, and also make it align with the mission, values, and vision of the township. So this is one of those pieces where this will survey residents. This will also have community groups being engaged with this, focus groups, to get a true feel of the entire community, what the township values and wants to see in the future. And also which includes then to make sure that we have the integrity, respect, responsiveness, transparency, stewardship, and volunteerism and partnership moving forward. So again, this is another piece of the puzzle that matches along with the goals that were discussed previously here in the township. I have found this to be very important in that it engages a lot of the community here that we don't see at meetings or participating in different events. And I think the value of this will be incredible to the township. We also have Tom who is one of the partners of the firm here, that is available to answer any questions as well. Tom.
I don't know. That's Bob. I realize it's only $39,000, but still, this is $39,000. But we have a very dedicated group of committees. They're very active. They're all pulling in the same direction so far as the mission statement. Much of what I see here in this proposal is going to be. I don't know that we need to have an outside service coming in to assess where we're heading in the township. We know where we're heading. We just got a grant for this. That's what we've done irrespective of the virus this week. So at the end of the day, I don't know if there's we'll get much bang for the buck here. I think whatever they're offering.
All I'll comment to that is I'm going to go based on 36 years of doing this. We have probably, and I'm going to stretch this, we probably got 50 people that are engaged on our boards and commissions that attend meetings. We have over 7,000 residents. The impact of this study will also help guide us in the way of future taxes, where we go taxes, how the township looks to preserve. Does the community want to continue to preserve real estate here and keep maintaining it rural? There's going to be expenses tied to that. I think we want to get a complete and unbiased approach to what is the public thinking? Are we going to get people to come out and be honest and say this, or will they be influenced by others? We want an independent look and study of this. And I have seen the value of this over and over. And I think if you use this, it will be a very valuable tool. If it sits on the shelf, I agree with you, it'll be worthless. But I haven't seen us do anything that doesn't fulfill that. And to me, as I hear a lot from residents again that have differing opinions on things, but it would be nice to be able to hear from the community with someone that's not tied or associated with the township at all, that has no bias or direct or guide, is to get a good response to this. And I don't know if Tom, if you want to be able to add anything to that.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Tom, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Bob, the way the audio is, I'm afraid I can only hear you, and the other individuals are speaking. It's awful hard to hear. What I'm hearing is what is the value in having additional input from a broader section of the community. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So again, we've been doing this for 25 years as well. You do have the usual suspects in any community that show up that give their insight. The idea here is to create a plan that is actionable. And I also agree that you don't want something to sit on a shelf. The point of a plan is, at the end of the day, strategic plan is who is going to do what, when, and how is it measurable. And it's something you frequently look at to make sure you're moving forward. So the idea is, with the multiple phases here, is we meet with leadership as well as the Board of Supervisors up front to talk about vision, talk about direction we want to go, to have a clear idea. We get that input. And then as Bob has stated, there is a real effort through surveys, through individual phone interviews, through focus groups to get out and talk to the community members. And the reality is you get some really good stuff. You get some folks that they just have the freedom to say what's on their hearts, and you learn where they are, and you use that information then to specifically build goals, objectives, and action steps. Again, who's going to do what when for the next 3 years to move the township forward.
Tom, Zed Jacob, can you speak to your method or process of soliciting this information from folks? Because in the past, we sent out surveys on certain issues and you get limited response or you get snarky remarks back. You know, to speak a little bit to your process of collecting that information, please.
Sure. So the key to collecting information now is multiple methods. It's things have changed with the people won't answer phones anymore. There's different engagement. So there's three ways to go about this. Again, one is the survey. It's an online survey, and we'd want to push that out through every contact you all have, as well as we would want to reach out to the local schools. We want to reach out to other community groups. Could we partner with them to also put the link out, asking people for their participation, as well as on all social media channels. So we're doing everything we can to get that survey out, as well as if you have some individuals on elderly side and such, you can have print copies, which we could have sitting out at community centers and such, which people could fill out. So the survey. The next is the focus group. So you actually want to get out and not just your boards and commissions, but actually get out into the community and to meet people where they're at. And that's where you just engage and ask questions. What's going great? What are some things we can improve? How could we do better with communication? What do you want to see? And boy, do you get rich information. So the idea is we'd be inviting an awful lot of people to those community groups. And the last is individual phone interviews, and the fact that there are influencers who, gosh, they're not going to come to a focus group, or they own a company, or they're a political official, or they're whatever. What we want to do is to reach out to them individually and just have half-hour discussions, and you get really rich information. So we found that by doing the online surveys, really intentional focus groups, and those real targeted phone calls, you get some really great information.
Well, so when you say targeted phone calls, can you elaborate on that, please? What do you mean by targeted?
Yeah, the idea there is, again, we're going to do an invitations and such that people come to focus groups and such. Let's just say there are people in the community. I'm making this up. It's the executive director of the library. It's a state senator. It is the head of a local company. They're your community influencers they have a lot of insight on the community. They probably are pretty busy people, and they're probably not going to come. So what we would do is work with Bob and you all to identify, who are the 10 to 20 people who they really have their finger on the pulse of the community, and we want to talk to them.
Mr. Speaks, my question is very similar to Ed's, is that um, when I consider a program like this, I like to understand the measures of success. So since you've been doing this a lot with other communities, what is typically their ideas of success, and how do you are able to attain that? And I'll just give you an example, like your online surveys that you mentioned. Could that be like 50% participation of the residents in a township or municipality? Could you sort of elaborate on that?
Sure. I mean, I'm going to stay up front. There's no chance of 50% participation. We in a
You
community
could
your
speak
size.
with, though. Right.
Pardon?
You could speak to what you have experienced with other townships and municipalities, and what they typically consider to be a metric of success, for the service that you're providing.
Absolutely. So I would say probably 300 responses at least from that online survey, and then 100 people to be a part of the different focus groups, as well as 10 to 20 individuals being a part of the individual phone calls. Now the success is that's the data gathering, but the success at the end of the day, there's really three things a strategic plan should do. The one is it genuinely asks the community what they want, and that's what we're going to do as far as get out and give people a real opportunity to be a part of things. So this is their community, so it's their plan. They have to feel that. The second thing is it delivers a plan that at the end of the day, I said it a couple times already, but specifically there are specific goals. A goal is something large. We're gonna communicate the value the township is providing. An objective is a specific thing we're gonna do. I'm making this up. We find out that, gosh, you need a new website. The website needs were revamped. So the objective is something specific we're going to do. Action steps, specifically who is going to do what, when, and how is it measurable. So a design of success is at the end of this, you have a product that is, it's crystal clear. Who's going to do what, when for the next 3 years, and it drives the product forward. And the third measure of success is the staff is excited about it. And this is something that we have time and again is, I don't know if you guys have all been a part of a strategic plan, but when you get done with doing the plan, everybody's just destroyed because it's been a difficult process. The opposite should be the case, that the staff should be aligned and excited and everybody's moving in the right direction. So those are the three things you're going to get. You're going to have a community that it has been involved. It's their plan. You're then going to have an actionable plan. And the third, I really believe you're going to have a staff that's aligned and excited to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions?
No.
Okay, I still need a second.
I have another question.
Really good.
If we tried to do it ourselves, which was one of the things I was thinking as Mark was expressing it as well, or Mr. Brancato, excuse me. Sorry. What type of demand would that put on the resources of our staff to do that? So if you're saying, you know, I don't know what the duration of this project is, but if it's a year and you're putting a demand on a staff person to help with this, you know, that's 1 year's salary there, $39,000. So are we impacting the staff if we're trying to do it ourselves? Or is there a value there because we don't have that cost along with the benefit demand or drag on that if we had another employee working on this?
We could. I think the time, it will take much longer, and I'm not sure at the end result what that would be, what that would look like. I think would be influence upon the process, and I was hoping that through this process it would be independent, and that people would feel free to speak to whomever is doing this. If it's staff, will people speak freely, or will they feel that I don't want to say that because you know, I might be looked at, I might be put in that book. And I've heard that before from people. So, you know, how honest will people be? We need to know exactly what those residents are feeling in the community that we don't see every day or don't participate. What are they thinking? What is their tolerances here?
How does that also, how would this study complement our hard look at the comprehensive plan?
I think this ties very closely to, as we talked about this year being a planning year, this would actually set us up now of where are we going in 5 years, how we plan budgets, how we plan expenses, you know, what does that lay itself out to? Because now we have specific targets that we've had the residents, and I've heard this from, you know, from last meeting, the planning commission, you know, the residents weren't being listened to or whatever. Here's an opportunity where you have the opportunity to be part of the future of the planning, all of these different things. And I think for the 39,000, I understand that that's a big number. I mean, it's really a very good investment into the community, and it keeps itself to where there's no push or undue influence that could be put on it, whether you have local people doing this, you have staff, you have boards or commissions doing it. I think you want that true independence of that.
I have a question, Bob. We heard from Mr. Speaks about what he thought were his measures of success. I'd like to hear what you think would be your metrics of success if we were to go with this service.
If we did, my hope would we would see a lot more people. We would utilize our email network now that we are using Constant Contact through the county now, getting the information out, ask the various groups and organizations in the communities to use their ability to get people to go take the survey. Use our boards and commissions again to get neighbors and residents, the HOAs, get your residents to go on. This is your opportunity here to have a say. I'd like to see those numbers, you know, half the community. I know I'm thinking pie in the sky, but I'd like to see a lot more people participate. And if we get the word out, we have our newsletter that's going to go out. We'll make a big full page splash in there too, again, wherever we can. We have on the agenda next is the website update and social media presence. Again, we start utilizing that to get the word out that this is your opportunity for residents. And then once this plan is done, now we're tasked with, now we have to complete these goals and objectives. And how you measure that is by your success. And we should be able to put timelines to those, to where we should be able to report back to the community and say, here's where we are on these.
So would you say that you're looking for a relatively higher percentage than what we've just
Absolutely.
been talking about? Because
Absolutely.
I heard, I heard, a relatively small sample size doesn't really represent the community.
6%.
And that's why I want to see a whole lot more to this. And we will do everything on our behalf and engage everybody in the community to say, please, this is the future of this community. What do we want it to be in the,
This would be-
5, 10, 20 years down the road?
So what you're telling me would be the staff and this service here to be able to increase the
Correct.
the results.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if indeed, if there really is a full court press where we can have an ad in the paper and have those kind of things, we have seen significantly higher results if that's the case, and that would be great.
Well, it's not Tom, it's not a question of being great, as Ed pointed out, with the numbers that you gave us were fairly minimal, and I don't think I don't think just by looking at the numbers that would be a meaningful statistical sample of the township. But your answer to Craig's question was, what are the measures of success? You gave us the numbers, and that's not very helpful.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may add one thing, and it's to Mr. Jacobs' point. I meet with your staff regularly, as does Bob, of course. I meet with Bob regularly. Your staff's tapped out. Your staff will do whatever you ask them to do, but right now they are tapped out. So to have them try to take this on their own or with the assistance of volunteers in the community would be a really a tall ask at this point in time, in my opinion, just having worked with your staff now for over a year and a half.
Yep, and I hear your comments. What I had heard about to attain, a certain measure of success is it would have to be a combination of this service plus the staff. So if the staff is already tapped out, then it really falls back to the service.
No, I think that they could not, I think that it would be a tax on them to do this on their own, the staff alone. I think they'll do whatever you ask them to do to be able to make this a successful project in combination with the service, but on their own, I think it would be a very tall ask.
And I think just from that too, just to add on to Joe's thing, for us to get the word out, we can push to get the word out, but for us to be involved with putting this all together, creating, putting the data together in a fair and unbiased way, you're asking a lot. That's a lot of time commitment that needs to be done. And again, you want this to be across the board. You want people to engage in this process too.
Yeah, because my expectations here would be that I get a fairly high percentage of a response percentage, really higher, much higher than what we have in the past. And so I can see how a service like this could potentially help with that. But if the expectations, especially in other townships or municipalities, it's relatively low, I don't know that it would exceed any more than what we've already achieved in the past. And so I would really say, in order for me to vote for this, is I would like to hear, how you can raise those percentages up, because we do want that involvement. We do want that to happen. And so we want to hear from the community. And
But Craig, right now, we don't have a motion on the table.
now we have a motion. Nothing's been seconded. We do have the motion.
But there's no second
There's no second
yet.
yet.
Can we at least see if we can get a second? If not, then let's move on.
I'll ask again. Would anyone second the motion?
So, Mr. Solicitor, if we have a second, then that continues the conversation. Yes.
Yes, it does, Mr. Drago.
So, in order to continue the conversation, I'll second the motion.
Okay. We've already asked several questions here. Is there anything else that we would like to ask?
Nothing from me. I'd like to hear from the audience.
Okay. We'll open this up for public comment. People in attendance here and online. Is there anyone online? Right now, I don't see anyone raise their hands. Okay.
Molly Wagle, 19 Carrigan Avenue. Sounds like an interesting initiative. what I want to understand is when I'm looking at when we're doing strategy planning for work, we're not only hearing from our employees, but then we're also factoring in regulations and constraints and, other factors that are going to shape how we can actually have a strategy. So what I don't understand is, is this only to collect resident feedback? And then what do we do with that? What if the resident feedback is not feasible? Or, for example, I don't know. Are we looking at also risks and resiliency, or is it truly just what people want? And then we still have to do added work to factor in what's feasible, what's not. So I'm just not quite clear.
Okay. Do you guys want to talk? I mean, it's all in
Can
the,
Tom answer to that question?
Yeah, the idea is it's not done in a vacuum. That's a great question. I mean, the idea is you look at the present planning that's happening, you look at past surveys that have been done, you look exactly where you're at, and you build upon that, right? So if everybody in the community wants ABC building, and it's very clear that the ABC building, it can't occur because of XYZ reasons, you'd have to know that. So the piece of this, the first piece of this is a whiteboard session in which we sit down with senior leadership when we go over that. Where are we right now? What we want to build upon a foundation of what you've already done to move forward. So that's a great question. And the answer is absolutely. You look at what's happening as well as best practice, and you incorporate all of that into the recommendations moving forward.
and Tom, just to be clear,
Thank you.
the whiteboard session would be 1 hour virtual meeting.
Correct. And the idea there is that 1 hour is kind of arbitrary. It's whatever the time it takes to understand where you guys are and what you have. So the idea is that it's kind of a placeholder, but we really want to understand what that is again, and then we get that information. We utilize that as then the foundational piece. So we meet with leadership. You get all that squared away. Then you get all the information from the community. Then the next phase is you sit down with leadership again and say, this is what we've heard. This is what you've got in your plans. Here's what it seems to make sense. What do you think? And it's a really healthy back and forth discussion then to really nail this thing down based upon the current reality, where you are.
And that right now in the proposal here, that would be with our township manager and other designated administrators, township administrators.
That's correct at this point.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think also too, to address Molly's concern, is this should then bring up, and I'm just going to use as an example, that, we don't want to see any more development. Then that means that there's a lot of zoning changes that have to be made. So that means that we're going to have to change a lot of what we have, where requirements might change, there might be proposed changes to zoning, which means that it could be that 1 home per 5 acres, or that if that would all change, precipitate a lot of changes that would come about.
And just to be clear, when about no more development, you're talking about the responses that you would be receiving, not that we would.
The community response.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
I just want to clear that up, just
Yes,
not that we
sorry.
would be saying something
No,
like that.
no, this would be the community would be saying that, so that there's a lot that will springboard from this, based on what we hear from the community. And it could be a lot of changes that
You
end up
just-
coming from that.
You just hit on something it gets to Molly's point. It's impossible. We can't stop development. I hear what you're saying. I'm just wondering at the end of the day, if we're not controlling the survey itself, what are we doing? What are we getting?
Well, I guess if I may answer that, I hear what you're saying. It's impossible to stop development, but if indeed it surfaces that is a prevailing attitude, then that's a messaging situation. That's a communication. That's something that would need to be addressed at some level, because that's what the community thinks. That doesn't. Yeah.
It's I ran 2 years ago.
Okay.
I went door to door. I probably, to myself, Craig, and others who went door to door with me, we probably hit a good 700, 800, maybe 900 households.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many said this, but the vast majority said, we don't want to we want to keep this township rural. We don't want development. And when I heard no development, I was careful to tell them, look, you can't stop it. there are things we can do to try to minimize and control it within the bounds of law, but you just can't stop it. But the point being, Tom, we know, we know from that campaign, that the vast majority of the people we spoke to are in the camp of no development, keep us rural. We already know that.
But my reaction to that is the voters voted for an open space fund. So to control development, we've been buying open space. We are looking to buy open space to put conservation easements to restrict some of that. So it's kind of like where if we say, okay, we want to try to control development, granted, we can't stop it, but there are things that the township has been doing by buying open space and preserving that forever, by putting conservation easements across there. So those are things that we can build upon and add upon. We can also control development, just as the conversation came out the other night about data centers. There's a lot that if there's zoning that allows that in, how can we put those conditions upon that to control that, to reduce the amount of impacts to the surrounding neighborhoods? A lot of those things can be done. So that's all part of what we're going to be looking to get here.
Yeah, I was just gonna, I'm glad that you said that, because the thing I was gonna say is it doesn't matter what the responses are. They could ask for not a single car can go down this road, or all types of stuff. It doesn't matter. And we can take some extreme, they'll take some extreme positions, but we will deal with the more reasonable ones that we can talk about. And hopefully that is a greater percentage. But, for me, I need to see some plan here that really is going to achieve a higher percentage from the.
And Mr. Chairman, and that may be, as I look through this plan, I understand it's various phases. Phase 1 is kind of an information gathering from a leadership perspective. Phase 2 is the input from the community. And I think what you're struggling with in part is not enough input from the community. So if there's a goal that's in phase 2 here of 10% of households responding to surveys and phone calls, and if we don't get to that number, then it's a hard stop. We don't go forward. This project doesn't go forward. I think that may assuage some of your concerns, and you have not at that point spent I'll call it $39,000. There's a stopgap there.
You're talking about phasing the project and the fee.
Correct. Or you have a right to stop the project at you always would have a right to stop the project. But at this point, you have multiple phases laid out within this project. Phase 2 is that information gathering piece. And if it does not meet the board's expectation of some, more than modest percentage of household responses, stop.
So what I would like to see in this agreement is that there be an inclusion of certain milestones. And at a certain point, if we aren't able to achieve those milestones, then we may cease and desist.
Tom, I don't think you'd have any problem with that, would you?
I would not, as long as we establish reasonable milestones, absolutely not.
Why don't I work towards that?
Okay. So what I'm recommending right now is I think we should table this until we can hear a little bit more about, milestones. And maybe we could bring this up for consideration for maybe for the next meeting or the meeting after that.
That's fine. That sounds good.
So what do we do? Just,
Wait, can I
we need to amend the motion.
Oh, sorry. There's
Please?
yes, please.
Monica Scriver, Valley Creek Lane. First of all, Ed, Craig and Mark, I appreciate all the questions you're asking. They're really good, valid questions about surveys and a project like this, and especially the cost. And I think it's a great idea, but I don't think where we are, based on the experience I have, even being on the EAC and trying to get outreach and communicate without an email list, I don't think we're where this project is right now. I just don't think we have the right climate. I don't think we have the right culture. And so we do have, thanks to all of you, a communication committee. And I don't know where that is in its formation and what's happening there. And you also have a planning commission who literally asked in the last meeting, what can we work on? They are asking, what can we do? And comprehensive plans, typically in townships, planning commissions contribute to that. And so it is a massive undertaking, but they are literally asking you, what can we do? And so while this is a good idea, and I think in the 2017-18 comprehensive plan, 11% of our residents made comments that went into the making of that comprehensive plan, and 40 people showed up at a meeting they had to give feedback. So we are not, I don't care how many doors you knock on, we're not there yet. I really believe that, honestly.
Well,
And
I will say you're jumping a little bit, which is good, about the communication. We have something here on the business agenda to address.
oh, okay.
So but it's good. You're sort of just, sort of telling everybody, and it'll be a way of just transitioning into this next item here. This is item D.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may, I understand and respect your comments,
Yeah.
Monica, but it's a different time in this township. It's a different day. I have a lot of faith in this community and the people that they're going to speak up if they know they have an opportunity to speak in this community. Without, no offense to the board, without one of you talking to them or me talking to them, you're going to get people to be honest. And that's what we want, is that kind of feedback. Because if I'm standing on their doorstep, they aren't going to be honest with me and tell me all the things that they want, or the same thing. I have a lot more faith in this community. I think it's definitely a different day in how this place is operated and run, and the openness and transparency. So I have a lot of faith in the residents of this community and the groups like EBA, what they have done and what they've accomplished. People are going to know what's going on here, and we're going to make sure that we run that home in the way of, especially if the board now has brought up some good points here, that we put milestones in place. We draw this to an end. But again, we want to get a full, clear view of everyone, and not to where it's being driven. The planning commission, I think the comp plan is coming up. I think they're going to have their hands full here. But to have them to try to run a survey or anything like that, that's not in their wheelhouse.
And Bob, you make a great point there, because, if you were going talking to a resident, they may not be honest with you. And that's where I want to just quick question back to Mr. Speaks is, when you do these surveys and you're talking to people, you are letting them know that their comments and stuff will not individual, comments will not be will all be confidential, will not be disclosed, except for the only thing that will be disclosed to the township, and this is where they get some protection, is that it'll just be in mass of what you've collected and you've summarized, and there will be no disclosing of individual comments and stuff, and that you might get better participation that way, which I think, Bob, that's what you want, is right.
Yeah.
Unity of comment.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's anonymous people. We report on trends. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll have someone from the township could, at the beginning of something like, welcome everyone, thank everybody, but we'll say, to make this really beneficial, we're going to have all leaders step out, because we really want to hear what you have on your minds. And what Bob said earlier, it's funny. I've found most people they're just pretty nice, honest to gosh, and they don't really want to say what's on their hearts because they're afraid of whatever. So just having the anonymity, people really tell you what's on their hearts, and that's how to move things forward.
Okay.
No, Tom, for what it's worth, there's not a single person staring at me right now who has any hesitation to speak his or her mind.
All those folks.
That's right.
In my experience, I've found maybe that's the case. When you start to get out with the public, though, it's almost a little, it's strange. People, they're afraid that this particular service is not going to happen, or this particular thing. It's a strange holding back that people have in a small town about not wanting to share things. So take it or leave it. But having done this for a long time, people pull their punches if they think that there's someone that can identify them that's receiving the information.
Yeah, it's a good point. All
right,
very good.
Dana Chaffone, Hearthstone Circle. I really think that, well, number one, you have to have a survey that's developed properly. I mean, I don't think that we have that expertise on staff. So I do see the benefit in this being
a properly constructed survey by a company that does that sort of thing, and also focus group facilitation. The school board goes through this process with strategic planning. I don't know what firm they used. I mean, it might be, not saying that this firm isn't well qualified to do this work, but they are based in Ohio. So I don't know if that's like an additional added cost because we've got travel and we'll do some things virtually, but I do think that has to be done, you know, outside of the staff that we have. That's a special skill set. But if we do not tie this into the development of a comprehensive plan or revising of a comprehensive plan, we get one shot at this. We're not going to be able to go back and resurvey people and, you know, 6 months later. And I didn't see that when I read the proposal. I wasn't sure how that connected to the development of the comprehensive plan. So I like to see like clear linkage to that as part of this proposal that you're going to rework a little bit. Because I think you're going to lose the audience, so to speak, if you try to come back around and ask what it is that you want. So I think we have one shot to get this done properly.
Dana, if we do this, it's going to go beyond the comprehensive plan. It's all keep in mind one thing, actually two things. One, the comprehensive plan is advisory only. It's advisory. It has no mandatory effect whatsoever on board action or anything else. Second, we've already discussed how we intend to proceed in developing the new comprehensive plan. And there's a streamlined process that we're going to use. So let's not focus. I mean, I would urge everybody to reconsider or to consider that if we're looking at what Tom is proposing to help us develop a comprehensive plan, I think we're wasting our time.
Not the sole purpose of it.
No, not at
It's
all.
not the sole purpose, but the input and what you hear from the community should be a gigantic feeder into it. And that's what I'm trying to establish here, that we're not going to go back out a second time, spend another whatever amount of money,
No.
that we are using
No, I
that
agree.
to flow into what the community wants should be a linkage into that. I'm not saying that, obviously that's not coming. They're not developing the comprehensive plan. I'm just saying that has to be part of, you know, understanding that that's an outcome from this that can be used as an input into the comprehensive plan, not that it is the comprehensive
It
plan.
helps to guide the process.
Yes,
Mr.
that's
Chairman.
what I didn't get that directly in the.
And I think, Dana, for what you brought up here, everything is very good points and I think should be incorporated into this.
Yes.
Because again, I think this is, as you had said, it's a great tie to the comprehensive plan, but also this develops a strategic plan of how we are going to operate into the future. So I think it's multifaceted and I agree with everything what you said tonight, and we should incorporate that into this rewrite of this proposal.
Yeah, and when I
Thank
look
you.
at the whiteboard meeting, and usually when we've done, thank you, Dana, thank you very much. When businesses do this, usually it's a lot longer than a 1 hour. So what I would recommend is for all the ones who are key stakeholders that we talk here, people who are involved with the township, maybe you allow a certain amount of time, you know, to collect that, because, you know, it's 1 hour, and in that meeting, you define the goals and objectives for the whole process. So 1 hour is important. And
What I think I heard from Tom, and correct me if I heard this wrong, that you would take whatever time it takes with the participation in the activities, that it could go beyond the 1 hour. It's not going to be just restricted, says, well, that's it, 60 minutes, we're done. Is that correct?
Oh, gosh, absolutely. I mean,
okay,
however long it takes to get what we need to get to have a successful project will take.
So
we're
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
I would recommending that we table this to a future meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion and a second. Maybe the motion should be amended to authorize Bob and I to work with Tom to come up with milestone goals throughout the phased project approach. And then we'll come back to the board.
Joe, respect, I don't think we need a motion for that.
You have a motion and a second right now. You need to do something with it.
Table motion.
You can move to table the motion, withdraw
Move
it.
the table.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I move to table the current motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
you. And then, Joe, based on your comments here, we should I just move a motion here that you both will work on.
We don't need that
Don't need
motion, it's
that right
fine.
now?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
okay. We know what we need to do.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all, and we're gonna go to item agenda D.
And before you move on,
Yes.
come up with some type of tiered fee structure.
Yes, thank you.
I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors approve the proposal submitted by Ward Design Company, including social media management at a rate of $2,200 per month and website design in the amount of $12,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second for discussion purposes. only.
Discussion purposes. That's
Yeah.
fine. Okay, let's,
Now,
yes.
have we formalized a communications committee? I mean, Rob McNeil presented a path forward, much of which I think has merit. So if we're going to do that, that should be done in coordination with the work by the outfit that's going to develop the.
Yeah, I would agree with that,
website.
right? 'Cause
Yes,
they can have
there's
established
no
goals.
objection to that. There's,
Right.
All right.
Do you-
I'm a little concerned by the $2,200 per month. There's no cap on that.
Oh, that's my plan as well.
it's $2,200, so as much work and all that stuff that gets done, that's what we're gonna be
How many
hitting
months?
them with. That's for 12 months.
Ongoing.
For 12 months, and that's it.
I'm sorry. So the 12,000 is the 2,200 per month.
No, that's $26,000.
Correct.
Yep,
So it's $39,000 total again.
right.
No. Yeah,
30
$12,000 is for the website design,
And $2,200 a month.
and that includes
top of
this,
that.
and that's with the social media, creating the social media and then managing that. So that our hope is at the end of the 12 months that we will be able to handle that internally. To be able to handle posting social media, get our exposure out there.
Honestly, I may be minimizing, perhaps I'm minimizing the amount of work involved here. The 12,000 for develop the design, I get it.
We
Why
can,
don't we
we
just
can,
spend
we can go back, if you just want to do the website design, that's fine. We can go back to them and say, look, just to get us set up, we had asked them for this monthly as we learn internally how to make all the changes in that, because we want to make sure that as a social media, we're pumping out as much as we can, but we don't want the ability where people can post things. Past experience has been people are posting things that are offensive and objectionable, but to get us through that process, but we can just put that on hold right now. Let them do 1 month of getting us up on the social media platforms,
And then use the communications committee to do the
not have access to go ahead and do that, but they could be involved to say, this is what we've got to do.
but in terms of doing the monitoring.
Correct. Absolutely. They would be
Right,
involved.
that-
Absolutely.
That works for me.
Okay.
I have it.
So it'd be the 12,000
first.
for the website upgrade, and then 2,200 for the first month, and then from there, we will see if we can't month to month, yeah, but it would be, and we could cap it at 2 months, 2 months of doing that, and then we have to get the communications committee up and running, and hopefully we can
I'll let you.
get
Go
that
ahead.
going too.
So what does our existing website cost?
Bill, do you have the current cost for?
It's just hosting costs at this point, right?
So will we have hosting costs on top of this 12 grand?
We would have our usual hosting costs, but this is for the redesign of the website, the 12,000, which
So where does our existing website fall short with regards to what's being proposed relative to what we have? What's going to make this, why is it worth 12 grand? Which in the big picture is a tiny number, but
more user friendly, because right now this website is not very user friendly. So we want to make sure that we redo that front page so it's easier to access information people want. I'm gonna use the example, the Jones Motors plans have been sitting on the website for how long? And it's hard to find where that's at. And there's residents have said, I can't even find it. They put their hands up and
You are right about
and
that.
punt on
Yeah,
that. So
we hear that.
this will make this more user friendly, resident friendly. More accessible to be able to find things here, more transparent of everything that's out there. Yeah, and right, as Haley said, organized.
Right now, you're pretty much operating off of WordPress, which is a long time ago technology that is difficult even for posting to happen on the website by staff. So what this will do is truly modernize the website, provide the ability for people, the public, to find more information, but also make it a lot easier for staff to get things onto the website too.
And and even on the front page, there's only so many items we could post, like events. So as they come in, you could have all the EAC events. I'm gonna use this as an example. If there's something else that comes up, it gets knocked off. And then how do you go get that? You know, you want to be able to have something that's scrolling, that's, you know, if you're on the website, you can pick that up. And then you have to make it app friendly so that people can download this to their phones. There'd be an app where people can go to and get information, again, easily off of this as well. And
We just need
based
to
on the
reframe this
proposals,
motion.
based on the proposals I received, this one is very inexpensive to be able to do this, and the quality. I know I sent you the references of where they've had. They're very good at what they do.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think the motion, if you follow what Mr. Zinkowski had suggested, needs to be reframed a little bit so that the cost for the website design is $12,000. And then the ongoing support at a rate of $2,200 a month would be a month-to-month contract terminable at any time.
Yes, yes. Okay.
By the township.
So there's two separate contracts then.
It would be we can do it in one contract. We'll just have the web design portion and then the service portion.
Okay.
Now, the one thing though that Mark brought up here was about the communication committee. So should we table this until that committee is in? No.
It's going to take a while for them to get ready. So, and I think by the time we go ahead and seek people who want to, you know, volunteer for this board, you know, the interview process with the board, they're going to be running. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to amend the motion. So I'm just going to
What you said.
yeah, what he said. Okay, I'll do
That
that.
works.
What you said. Okay, how about we do it that way?
Sure.
Yes.
I want to see the minutes on this one.
Yeah, no. Do I have a second on what he said?
Yes,
Okay.
second.
All in favor?
No.
No, oh, sorry,
Any
public,
questions or-
yeah, any public, yes. Yes.
Usual suspect.
Do I have to say my name again?
No.
I was just gonna say in terms of the public getting involved, please include usability testing in your project plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Third graders
Yes.
Thanks,
and,
Dana.
and senior citizens.
Hello, anybody online? I call a question.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm moving to agenda item E. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors authorize the submission of the DCED grant application in the amount of $288,405 for the Bridge Street Stormwater Project in accordance with the resolution attached here too. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I have no
Comments?
questions.
Okay. Yes.
Sure. Did you have a question or?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Basically, it's, we're looking to do some stormwater improvements along Bridge. There is a 15% match for this, but that is the project value that we've associated with it right now, which is 288,405, as you mentioned.
Okay. So that's 43,000, yeah, right.
Around them.
right.
Ooh, what happened there?
Okay, so the 15% matches he just mentioned, that's approximately, it's a little bit over $43,000.
Yes, and this would be a 2026 spend by the time the grant cycle's worked out.
So we can incorporate that into the budget, that's all, yes, okay, plan for it, that's good.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions from the public, anything on, I don't see anything online. Okay,
Call it.
okay,
I call a question.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I am moving to agenda item F. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors authorizes the submission of the DCED grant application in the amount of $250,000 for the comfort station at the Park on the Ridge in accordance with the resolution attached here too.
Second.
Okay, so
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
what I wanted to do here, what I want to do is just have someone just talk about what the comfort station means. That's what I was, yeah.
Yeah, what this is right now, we use one of those high quality portable toilets that are out here. That during the summertime, they have a interesting aroma. And because of the park and the work that's been done by the Parks and Rec Board, and where the community is going, this would give us an opportunity to actually have a flush toilet with water to wash your hands in that for this park. So the opportunity has come up, working with Mike, that we will submit a grant application for this. I still question why, with all this complex being built, why there was never an outdoor bathroom built for the park, but neither here nor there.
We like to rough it in township.
I guess, but especially when you see like the volunteers and that, like on the weekends at work, if the building's not open, you have your choice there of
Trees.
Well, yeah, they
Tree
couldn't
number
do
one,
that.
tree number two, got
But
it, got it.
but I think
So
But it doesn't help the ladies, but.
Based on the activity that we had a couple weekends ago, I know when Elaine was here, the parking lot was full out here. You had the pavilion full, you had games taking place down in the park, and you had one portable toilet. So I think this would be a good opportunity here for us to be successful.
Where we've located or proposed to locate it is along the Public Works fence here, so out the parking spaces all at the top of the hill. The reason we're trying to move it close proximity to the building, to pull the utilities off the building. So that's one of the reasons to do that. It'd be a flat level area and then come down off of that. We're looking at different structures. The structures can vary as to how you want to do it. It can be a 250,000 structure. They can be 100, which is basically a shed that you add plumbing to with walls. So you can do a lot of different things. So we've gone in the mid-range, and then we can work that out as we go. forward.
Is there a match required?
Yes,
Yes, again, 15%.
15%, okay.
I have no further questions.
Yeah, just to be, it's about 38,000.
And that'll be for 2026?
Yes.
Okay, so you can plan for it again,
Mhm.
budget it.
Ask for public comment.
Is there any public comment from those in attendance, those online? No, I don't see anything right now.
Call a question?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We're moving on to item G. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors authorize the submission of the DCED grant application in the amount of $250,000 for the Independence Park Improvements Phase 2 in accordance with the resolution attached here too. Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay.
we have Mike explain what this is?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
So as we've talked about on previous grants for Independence Park, this is phase 2, which would be pickleball courts and the playground. What we've been doing is trying to stack the grants. So what happens is we have a match for the previous grant. We would use this money to pay for that match. So that's what we'll be again applying for 250,000, which is the max. And then we would have the same 15% match, which is 38. But again, we would be trying to stack that. So using some of this money to pay for the other matches that we keep doing. So
Say that last part again.
so we just keep stacking the grants. You're allowed to use the one grant to pay for the other matches. So we
So
previously.
if we don't use the whole grant, we can use it to pay our match. Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
Exactly,
Interesting.
right. So this has the same scope of work associated with it that we went in on the last grant. That one we had to put up about 120,000. We can use this money to pay that 120, then do more funding of the project.
Okay.
Yeah. Certain agencies allow you to stack grants like that.
Good to
Okay.
hear.
I guess there's no questions right now.
I call the question.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On to agenda item H. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors authorize the township manager to issue checks to township residents to help offset and reimburse the cost incurred by and charged to those township residents in connection with the construction of Brown Drive Sanitary Sewer Project. These funds in the amount of $215,000 were received by the township specifically for the purpose set forth in the motion through the efforts of State Senator Katie Muth.
Second.
Okay,
I have
let's
two questions.
go ahead.
Is the check countersigned?
We have the full amount of, I think it was 100 and
I mean, the checks that you'll issue to the residents or who countersigns, you're putting it out, or is it normal processing?
it'll be the normal processing of how we do checks, but what we're going to require is that the residents have to come in and sign for the check. We don't want to put them in the mail. And we'll accommodate if they can't make it during the day, we'll make it on the weekends,
Those we just
evenings,
cut.
however, we'll make sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then,
I'm sorry.
pardon me, I have a second question, Mr.
Mhm.
Balcotto. Are they issued per capita, and there's certain residents that are excluded because they're not participating in connecting?
It is reimbursing those who already paid the second tap-in fee. They'll be reimbursed those costs. And then
So it's
those,
whatever they paid, they're being reimbursed for
Right.
that dollar
and,
amount.
and those in the future, that money will be utilized to pay that, whatever that second cost would have been.
So we escrow that?
We will actually do that, right, Bill? We'll escrow that. So
No, will this cover?
we won't be charging the resident that.
Ah,
It'll be reduced.
just an offset.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So, let me make sure I understand this. There are two fees that are being assessed to the residents. There's the one fee for the reimbursement of their pro rata share of the cost of construction. Then there's the so-called special fee where they pay into the capital fund. Now, will this cover both fees or just one fee?
Just the one fee. They'll be still paying the tap-in fee.
All right. so
But it's the
special
second one
fee.
that was going into the capital that will be extinguished. It'll be either reimbursed or the cost will be
Offset.
extinguished,
Yeah.
correct?
Okay. I think that's good. Thank you to Senator Muth.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, and I'd like to say on behalf of the Brown Drive residents, I'm sure that they are very pleased with the efforts here by Katie Muth, and they should probably express that to her at some point when they see her.
Yes.
Or
Yes, or vote, yes. So we ready?
No, we're not. We need public comment.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Steve Hacker, Brown Drive. So this amount comes off of the $17,000 tag?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, just to clarify that.
Yes.
Okay, well, as a resident, I want to thank Senator Katie Muth and Nikki Whitlock, our Chief of Staff.
And the Board of Supervisors.
And the Board of Supervisors and anybody else involved in the township. You know, lots of people complain when they feel government isn't working for them. So when something like this happens, and I know Katie's office put effort into finding this and getting it through. So kudos and thank you to everybody involved.
Thanks.
Is there any other public comment? I don't see. Whoa,
I call the question.
that's why we need improvements. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, earlier, we had moved the agenda item A in the business agenda to the end here, and I am going to go to that one right now. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors grant final subdivision and land development approval for the Jones Motor Tract residential development portion in accordance with the final approval resolution attached hereto. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, before that motion is seconded,
Okay.
perhaps it would make sense to have the applicant just make a brief presentation. I think that there may be some other considerations that the
Yes.
board wants in addition to the resolution that's in your packet in draft format. I see Mr. Colagracco is here representing the applicant along with a couple of engineers and an applicant's owner's representative. What you see on the screen before you is the residential portion of this plan. And I'll just set the stage. This is not something that this Board of Supervisors had previously approved, but before its time, back in 2019, there was a Board of Supervisors at that time that gave this project overall, both the residential portion and the commercial portion, conditional use approval. Following that conditional use approval, after a few years of plan revisions and planning, in 2002, the Board of Supervisors did grant preliminary land development approval of this project. 2022. Did I say 2002? I apologize. 2022. That approval included only the residential portion. So the preliminary land development approval is only for the residential portion, which is the, I'll call it bold portion that's on the screen. Mr. Colagreco, I'm sure can describe it better than I can, but as I understand it, it's 366 units. 101 of those are detached single-family homes. 157 are detached single-family age-restricted homes, and there are 108 attached townhomes. In addition to that, there are various stormwater management improvements. There are roadway improvements along the road that is on the property's frontage and also at the intersection that's slightly off the plan here at the corner of West Bridge. There are also a number of parking spots and a clubhouse as part of the project overall. This plan has been reviewed by the current group of consultants. They have issued review letters for these plans. You are not being asked to grant any waivers other than those that were already granted as part of the preliminary plan approval. One of the waivers that I did want to point out is that this, under your subdivision and land development ordinance, this project would have had only one access point according to your saldo. That was waived to allow for more than one access point, which is something that your traffic engineer at the time and now both continue to support. So with that being said, Mr. Colagreco, if you want to make any more of a presentation, feel free.
I was going to say you stole my thunder. The plan's been before the board and various boards, so I don't want to go over information that you may not need to see going over again. As Joe described, it's the process has been ongoing for probably 5 or 6 years now. The township separately has approved an agreement where this developer will fund the expansion of the existing sewer plant to handle the effluent from this job, as well as some additional sewage capacity, which will be in the purview of the township. But by and large, it's a residential subdivision. There's the age-restricted housing. If you want to go up, Dave, to the plan and just point out where the various sectors of housing are, that would probably help. That's the age restricted, and and everything else is non-age restricted. This plan in front of you is, from a layout perspective, is virtually identical to the preliminary plan that received approval from the board a couple of years ago. And since that time, we've been going through the various back and forth with, state agencies, with PennDOT. But again, maybe more can be gained here through question and answer rather than me going through or rehashing things that the board may already be well aware of.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll help to frame this a little bit. The Planning Commission did recommend approval at its meeting. There were a few items that they did in fact ask to be added to a draft approval or resolution that was provided both to the Planning Commission and to the applicant. Those comments have been incorporated into the resolution that is before you this evening at numbers 6, 7, and 8. They were related to the final plans being amended so that the sugar maple trees would be replaced with red maples or sweet gum trees or some other species that's acceptable to the township arborist and township engineer. The second, which is at number 7, is that prior to the recording of the plans, there be a maintenance and operations narrative plan addressing any tree mortality and tree replacement in the riparian buffer area. And vegetation management, which is required under PA DEP rules. So that would have to be in accordance with DEP rules and also be acceptable to the township arborist and civil engineer. At number 8, there was a robust discussion at the Planning Commission about reducing the height of light fixtures from 16 feet to 12 feet if possible, provided they can still comply with the township's lighting ordinances, or if there is a future lighting ordinance that is less restrictive, meaning less light. Okay, so more of a dark skies approach, that the applicant would be willing to comply with that in the future, provided it happens before they are under construction. And then at number 12, there was a comment about making sure that stormwater management was monitored throughout the construction phase and then also post-construction to make sure that it is operating properly. And if it is not, to have a plan for remediation in place, which we will make a part of our operations and maintenance agreement and land development financial security agreement. So I think those things were all already covered by the resolution. There were some community feedback emails that we got, or Mr. Zinkowski shared with us. Some of those concerns are frankly things that have already left the barn and can't be addressed as far as traffic is concerned. That is going to be part of PennDOT's HOP process. But one of the things, or three of the things, I guess two really things that did come up were the potential for a secondary access point at some point in the future, or tertiary access point out towards Enterprise Drive. So Dave, if you wouldn't mind just kind of with the point we're talking about. So right there is right above where Dave is looking at is that area is the township park space that would be dedicated, dedicated 18 acres to the township as part of this project. Right below that is Enterprise Drive, kind of heading off of the plan towards the bottom. Right to the left of that, teeing into Enterprise Drive, is a access way that's for emergency vehicles on the plan. The suggestion would be that that access, which would be a green or grass paver on the township side, be converted into asphalt as part of this approval, and that the township be granted the option of opening that access up in the future at its discretion, but that would be after project completion. So that was one thing that Mr. Colagreco was not aware of until this evening, nor was his client, but something that I think the board wanted to discuss further.
Yes.
Well, I want to, we'll get them in.
So just to be
see-
clear, the part about the paving, this is on the site, the proposed site here, not, if we could elaborate on this.
Sure. So, Dave, if you would just show us the piece that is being highlighted right now is off of the site. That would be on the township's side, I'll call it. And the township actually would control both sides of that, what is a emergency access right now, but would be converted into an asphalt paved way, still for emergency access at this point in time. And Dave, can you go to the piece that's on site?
On the site, yes.
So that piece right there is on the site. That piece would be a paved way as it is proposed today. It is gated as proposed in this plan and would remain gated for the duration of the project until completion of the project. And at some point in the future, again, the township would have the right to convert that to a full access way at its option. And of course, the township would have to take dedication of that portion of the roadway that would be on the project side.
Right.
You all right with that?
I think so. I mean, it's what?
Currently designed as a grass paver because of stormwater runoff, right? So, I can't speak to it being paved, but I'm pretty confident that would change the runoff characteristics and may potentially change the stormwater management in that area. We could maybe look at some type of porous asphalt paving that would be a normal asphalt, but it would be a porous condition.
Yeah, so we were taking a look at it and saying that, I think it has a sizable amount of stone below it already with the pavers.
Yeah.
Like the stone pave has about 8 inches of stone, so it's kind of
Correct.
kind of like acting as a gravel drive with the pavers on top. So we could look at those options, but again, I mean, from that little section, it probably comes out in the rounding, and then what's on the recreation side, I guess, would be part of that future project. Is the way I looked at it. Does that make sense? Joe, are we clarifying the ask, right? Is to pave it to the property line?
I think it is paved to the property line as is, right, Dave? Or is it not?
No, it would be a grass. It was proposed grass pavers for the entire,
Including what's on the project side?
correct.
I'm sorry, your name is?
My name is Dave Gibbons.
All right, Dave, do me a favor, please, just so we're all clear, just point to the areas that will be paved with the grass pavers, please.
Sure. So
So obviously, these are all the internal roadways within the development. And from this section to the right of my cursor would be the start of the emergency access. So it would be gated here and it would be gated at the eastern end as well. So this section between those two gates, which would be the eastern end would be at Enterprise Parkway. And then I don't really quite remember the name of this proposed street, but the emergency access would be between that and it was proposed to be grass pavers in that entire length.
I think we were under the understanding that it would be paved right up to where this site, where the property line is for this site. That's how we understood it.
So let's, barring that we could work out the stormwater piece of it, was that something you would be willing to accept though? That condition?
Well, the stormwater management could be worked out. It's no,
Yeah, I think.
it's of no mind to us.
Right.
Doesn't matter. It's a stormwater management issue.
Okay. Cause I did notice there was like a swale, so we'd have to regrade it a little bit, but we could take a look.
Could put a culvert under or something like that.
Okay, so it's doable.
It's doable and it's a matter of timing, really, is what it comes down to, because we're not, the concept here is not to disrupt the project flow in any way, but I think we can work out the stormwater.
That's it.
Okay. So there's another, there is another condition. So we'll make sure that that it's noted that the stormwater management has to be, worked out to the satisfaction of both parties. And there may be a fee in lieu option if we have to go down that road as well.
Okay.
So on the second point, there was a post-construction traffic impact study request at the intersection of what we believe to be Cincinnati, which is the new road, Hillside, and is that West Bridge Street, correct? So I'll call it I guess, closest to the existing intersection, new intersection. The board, I think, would like to see a post-construction traffic impact study for warrants and for the future potential signalization of that intersection at Hillside, West Bridge, and Cincinnati, and to escrow money for that study. In the event that a light would be warranted there as a result of the changed condition with this new development and the potential traffic that could potentially be going through that intersection, we'd like to see money be allocated for that purpose or reimbursing the township at the construction of the commercial phase of this project.
Dave, can you circle that intersection? I think I know exactly where. Did you study that, John? Is that an intersection that was studied?
Right. So we just want to see it done post-construction of this phase of the project, just to make sure that we haven't missed anything. We don't think you have, but just as a bootstrap and suspenders look at traffic here, to make sure that that signal isn't warranted in a post-construction phase or post-construction condition. Again, I know your study says it's not, but I think it's a reasonable request of the board.
That's fine.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, if there are additional questions, I'm sure Mr. Caлагreco would be happy to answer them, but those were the things that I know had come up through public discussion.
Are there any other questions from the board before I go to public comment?
None.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may.
One of the things I'd like the board to consider to make this part of this, which I think is reasonable and fair, is I'm concerned with the comment just made now about if the commercial ever comes about. I heard the planning commission, if that will ever come about. I'd like to ask the board to consider that when 33% of the residential is done, that stops and 33% of the commercial has to be completed before there's future approvals to continue on with the housing. I don't know how this ever got by here, but to me, this is sounding as though there's no interest or desire to ever do that. I've heard the issues about, well, we're having troubles. There's developments being done, commercial developments in eastern Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania today. So they can be done. And I think there has to be something to show that there is a commitment here, because I don't believe, based on comments made not only tonight, but at the planning commission meeting and in the past, that is like, we're not gonna worry about that until however many years down the
No.
road. I think this should be put in. I think it's fair and reasonable for the township. I understand the concerns, but I think it's fair and reasonable.
That corner of West Bridge and 724 and then going down east on 724 is our gateway. And your development, your residential development without a commercial development is leaving it with pressure, with just unused space. And that's simply not, and that's not conducive to what we need what we need for that area. It's screaming for development. There are, as Bob pointed out, any number of locations throughout Chester, Montgomery, Delaware counties where you can go, Bucks County, where you can go and see commercial developments being built, and very nice ones, I might add. It's literally screaming for a concept that fits in well with rural character of our township. And that will be a draw, not just for that housing development, but to nearby communities. So when I hear if, I'm very concerned too. The answer should, the response shouldn't be if, it should be not only when, but here's the concept that we have in mind for you. And we haven't heard that yet. And I don't understand that. So Bob, it's not a bad idea. It's time that we link the residential to the commercial, because that's the way it was sold to us, as I understand it, way back when.
Well, just to remind the board, some of you weren't on the board at the time, originally the township did require linkage. The ordinance, and there was no development interest at all, because no one will finance, no one would agree to a condition that you stop. It's not a financeable project if you have a condition that says you stop residential development a third of the way in. So the township removed that linkage and required and allowed that there be no linkage of a certain amount of commercial with residential. That occurred probably back in 2018, 2019. Because the township was interested. The township was interested.
I didn't like it. Pardon me. I didn't like it, but that's what we had to do.
That's what was done.
I mean, I'll go all the way back to when we started this on the planning commission, and I sat on the planning commission when this all came about. And that commercial development was always phase one before residential starts. And then approved it on the board with Mark Dunphy and Jane Paranto and myself. And we were adamant about having that commercial space. So I'm somewhat disappointed that that's not being talked about. And when he said if, that was a trigger word for me just now. But I'd really like to see some kind of commitment to this is going to happen, and we are actively pursuing someone to develop this space as commercial.
Well, again, to add some prior history to it, we were told that one of the catalysts for that commercial would be the establishment of the 160,000 square foot township recreational building that Mark Dunphy had proposed. And it was going to bring all kinds of tournaments, and it was going to bring anybody who has kids who goes to those tournaments on the weekends knows that it can fill up restaurants and things like that. Mm-hmm. Well, I understand that proposal is gone. So that end of it, the fact that there's not going to be a 160,000 square foot recreational complex, that was also talked about as going hand in hand with the commercial. I'm not saying, look, it defies logic to say that we haven't been looking for a commercial developer for that property. We have a lot of acreage of land over there that we would love to capitalize on. If there was some way.
Sorry. Maybe we want to keep the side comments to a minimum at the moment.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, if there was some way that the township could help, and I don't even know what that way is at this stage of the game, to promulgate that or advance that commercial discussion, we're all ears. I mean, we've had brokers working on this. The type of commercial interest you're getting is not what you would want to see there. Trust me.
Could you give us some examples?
You would probably get a gas station, service station.
No, that's not.
That's what I mean.
They don't need it.
No, but
So
that's true.
it's a more complex situation than saying, and again, if that was going to be if we were going to go back to linkage, we would have never even started the project. So the first step in this process was to delink and to amend the ordinance to remove that requirement so that these could proceed um, independently of each other, so to speak. And again, the thought process was that not only would the recreational complex spur, I mean, we have a plan. We showed a plan, a conditional use. We even designed buildings on the commercial property so that the restaurants had frontage on that recreational complex. This was sort of a marriage. And
That
then,
plan still exists, though.
pardon?
That plan
It
still
still
exists. It
exists.
hasn't been
Yes, it
abandoned.
does. Yes, it does exist.
Yeah.
But my point is that the whole reason that plan was laid out that way is because we could see if in fact there was going to be a 160,000 square foot recreational complex there, that might get some commercial interest from restaurants probably. But there's not going to be, is what I understand. And there's no commitment we can give to commercial tenants that that's going to be. So, you know, it's not as though we're putting a stiff arm up to people and saying, don't develop the commercial. We've been marketing it for 4 years. Maybe the spur of the additional residential will help, but to again, the linkage thing was broken by ordinance back in 2018.
Hi, how are you? Tom Kessler, representative for the owner.
Hi, Tom.
I just want to make a very clear point. It's not if, it's when. Okay, this commercial is going to get developed. We're committed to developing it. The owner is committed to. I've been in this project since its most recent iteration, not in pre-conditional use. I had years of conversations with Mark about this. We went back and forth on the current conditional, the zoning of it that was not feasible. We had long conversations about it. We had people, we were in discussions prior to the conditional use about it. We couldn't get any traction for the reasons that Lou had mentioned, that you just residential and commercial do not develop at the same time, and you could never get a residential builder to go along with a project that all of a sudden halfway through it or a third of the way through it, they'd have to stop for some undetermined period of time for reasons completely out of their control. And those are the conversations we had with Mark, and ultimately the board. And we said to them, this is not a bait and switch. We're not trying to say we want to do the residential now, and then when we can't, in a couple of years come back and say, hey, we couldn't get the commercial, now give us the residential. We've always committed to that commercial. We've even offered originally to deed restrict it. With Mark, we would deed restrict it to prove to everyone that this was being set aside for commercial. The owner wants to sell it as commercial. We want to develop as commercial, but it's got to come when it comes. The residential portion is absolutely positively going to help with that. The rec fields that I discussed at length with Mark, and what started from a couple of acres, that the owner was willing to give, to 6 acres, to 8 acres, to now it's 18 acres that the owner, when negotiated, was willing to give for this project that Mark laid out as you see it. And then he came on the commercial and I worked with him extensively on the design, as Lou said, and that's why you see that commercial and some of the planned restaurants that are sort of facing towards the fields. That was a direct conversation with Mark and the board during the conditional use process. So I just want to make sure everyone knows it's not a if, it's a when.
Yeah. And
Can I suggest, can we just recess for about 3 or 4 minutes to discuss this, please?
okay. Okay, we'll take a brief break, maybe about 5 or 10.
For legal advice is what
Legal
you're,
advice,
okay.
yes. Come back. Okay, I will. Mr. Clement, should I hand this to you right now, or do you want a little bit of time? You want a little bit of time?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
That's always a dangerous thing to hand anything to me. Mr. Colagreco, we did discuss the legal ramifications of potentially going a different direction with this application. However, what the board would like to do is suggest that over the next 6 months, as a condition of the approval that would be voted upon this evening, over the next 6 months, the applicant or the applicant's representative, the property owner's representative, would come and attend staff solicitor meetings at the township at least once per month to obtain township consultant and staff input into the development of a sketch plan for the commercial portion of this property. And that after that 6 months, there will be a sketch plan developed and presented to the township.
Okay. I mean,
Great.
so we have an absentee client who's in, but
I understand.
This sounds like a workable framework.
And we understand. Is that okay with you?
Come back in and coordinate.
Coordinate with us.
Coordinate, get ideas, thoughts.
Yep.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Good.
And on the commercial space.
On the commercial, and we'll make sure that part of that conversation is a conversation about what is happening on the township's portion of the property, if there needs to be a reconfiguration to help aid in the development of the commercial portion. But I want to make it very clear also that we're not conditioning the residential piece. The board is not conditioning the residential approval on some development of commercial tenants or the commercial property, but rather development of a plan that would allow for the potential for that development. Understood.
Just as a final comment, as this not if but when, remember as part of the conditional use, upon recordation of the plan starts a clock for us to demolish all of the buildings on that property. So that's a up to $1 million potential expense. So just to show you the owner's commitment to it, he agreed to that. He stands by that and is going to be doing that. Just so you know that's money where your mouth is, right? To do all that, to prep that, to get that in an even better condition for the future commercial, which will come.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't think there's any question as to that. I think it's more of a making sure that the commercial development is a viable development into the future. But Mr. Colagreco,
any input that the staff can give us to make this a viable commercial project, we're all ears. So if that's what it is, meeting with you for 6 months and coming up with a plan, the more input, the better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Colagreco, if you would give me the courtesy of the 2 weeks I'm allowed under the MPC to come up with this final approval resolution and make sure that we issue the written decision in a timely fashion, but with these additional conditions, I'd appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all need to take a vote.
No, actually, we have to open up for public
You do.
comment.
Public comment.
Yes, you do.
Yes. So I'm opening this up for public comment for people who are here, anyone online.
No public comment.
No public comment?
There we
Okay,
go.
I knew there would be, there have to be at least one or two.
Okay, Molly.
Molly Weigel, 19 Kerrigan. So I'm not a stormwater expert, but I am concerned hearing that what to me looks like a very small area of green pavers, that if that needed to be converted to macadam, I'm concerned that that pushes us over to a limit that we might be concerned about stormwater. We know, we are now going in more extreme weather events where we have more drought and then we have more heavy rains, and the weather that we've had in the past is not necessarily what we're going to have in the future. So if we're that close to having issues, I have concerns on how we're going to, deal with that and make sure that we're not setting up future residents for major issues.
All well taken. And that will be addressed, I'm sure, as we go down the road, so to speak.
Mike, would you like to elaborate a little bit on that one?
Yes, and I think that what the applicant was just saying is that it's not currently being directed towards one of their basins, that area, because it's grass. So it's just a matter of that, but it's not like they're close to a threshold where it's gonna tip it over or anything like that. There's a lot of redundancies built into the systems. So that's not a concern. It's more of a collection aspect of that
Okay.
area. So we just would need to make sure that you know, because there's a whole nother project that'll occur on the other side. So
Okay.
that's something that we can handle on our side, or, you know, or put in an extra inlet and get it over to theirs. So it's not a threshold issue. It's just more of a actual location issue because it's on the perimeter of their property.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
I have one more question, with respect to the traffic. So I heard, and I know you received my comment. So for those of you, I live up catty corner, on the other side of this, on the other side of the intersection. We already are seeing a lot of issues just getting out of our neighborhood. That's a lot of cars that we're already struggling. So can you help me understand, you know, and this seems to have increased within the past year, and I know the traffic study was done even prior to that, so how is it that, you know, if a traffic study doesn't need to be redone, or how is it that no changes are being required on at least the other side of bridge, other than I heard I was at the planning commission meeting? So can you just help me understand how we can move forward with all of this without addressing anything else at that intersection?
I think Joe and Mike might be the,
Sure.
yeah.
We can address some of that. So, in short, when the original traffic study was done, at least it was a pre-COVID condition. So that kind of helps with some of the counts. But regardless, this becomes a PennDOT HOP issue. So PennDOT will control this process. They'll look at the traffic study. They most likely will require some kind of an update to the traffic counts in the traffic study. And they take into consideration the current conditions that are out there now and what this would add to those current conditions. So, I know the data looks old, and it is in one respect, but it must be updated as part of this approval resolution. There is a requirement that they do, in fact, the applicant does get its HOP, its highway occupancy permit from PennDOT. And with these two roads being state roads, that's the entity that really controls the next step from a traffic perspective. Now, I could tell you from a development perspective, from a land use perspective, when you allow for density like this under your township's ordinances for zoning, you expect these kinds of things to happen from a planning perspective. At least you should from a long-term perspective. I think what you're hearing collectively from this board is that perhaps this was a little dense, so to speak, and that probably should have been looked at from a long-range planning perspective a little harder. So unfortunately, when the preliminary approval went through, from a traffic perspective, it kind of baked in what would happen here as far as the traffic getting onto the roads. The actual improvements, that's still under HOP PennDOT review.
So there is potential if PennDOT, you know, provides some guidance that additional improvements may happen. It's not a nothing will happen. It's
That's right.
we will see.
That's
Okay.
right. And then also when that commercial development goes in, there's a whole other study that has to happen. And PennDOT may require additional, you know, improvements at that intersection. There are going to be some signalization improvements that are going in that way, but you know, that's going to be something that's looked at in the future too, when the commercial development goes in. I will tell you as well that part of the conditions that were added this evening by the board were to reevaluate that that one intersection. Dave, can you just point to that one intersection? Sorry. So Molly, the one that's kind of right there.
Yep.
The applicant has agreed to reevaluate that. And in a post-construction condition. So after there's all the traffic that would be generated from this development getting through that intersection, to see if a signal would be warranted there. Pennsylvania requires, PennDOT requires on state roads that signals be warranted, meaning, you know, certain types of events have to happen for a signal to be required to go there. If that signal is required to go there, then as part of the commercial development, it will be paid for by the developer. That's at least the applicant or the board's request.
Okay.
All right. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mal, if you want to catch me after the meeting, I'll talk to you more about it if you'd like.
Just one more comment on traffic. My name is Kurt Scriber, Valley Creek Lane. The planning commission meeting, they discussed the road improvements to Bridge Street and 724. Bridge Street is being widened during the residential phase of this. 724 is not being touched until the commercial is developed. No widening, anything like that. I know this may be up to PennDOT, but I know it's just right now. I know when I drive home on every day around 5:30, heading east on 724, the traffic backed up to at Bridge Street coming from Phoenixville goes way beyond where I turn. I've heard it goes past New Street. There has to be something done sooner than later to alleviate some of that. If we can get that widening project underway, would certainly help a lot. Not wait for an eventual hopeful commercial development, which may be years away. We can solicit PennDOT to change speed limits. We can certainly ask for this.
Bob, do you want to talk about the traffic, the study meetings that you'll be having? I mean, that can help with about asking for improvements to the roads. We're talking about, remember discussing accidents and
Yes,
sort of
as
things.
part of the warrant process, that's something we can work on. And with Mike's firm, we'll engage them and engage PennDOT in conversations in regards to this, and then see what options are available to the township and how we can work in collaboration with PennDOT to achieve the items that you speak about, as well as timing, and then also too is look at PennDOT to make some of these improvements as well. But part of that is warrants, which you talk about, is accidents, deaths from accidents, which is crazy that you have to wait for somebody to die before you can actually put a signal in, which is crazy. But that's what warrants. Traffic counts too as well. So all of that goes into something that's warranted. So that will be something that we will also look at and try to see what we can do to try to push the envelope. And I have great confidence in our engineer that they've worked closely with PennDOT to see what we can do to address those concerns you raised.
And the public will be able to attend these meetings in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
The ones that will be, you might want to describe the
Absolutely.
three-person team.
The staff traffic meetings. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Trying to get a date, because what we want to try to do with everybody participating, that everybody knows on the third Wednesday of the month or Tuesday or whatever, and then try to make sure we get the time, because other communities do it during the day. I'm not sure how many people we would exclude if it's being done at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning. Are we better doing those in the evening at 6:30 where more people can attend? So that's something, the details are just being worked, the final details are being worked out. And as soon as we have that, we'll get that out.
Second, unrelated, is the this excuse me, the 6-month plan of coming up with sketch ideas for this commercial property. What are the repercussions if those are not being met? I mean, does construction suddenly stop? Like, how is a developer being held accountable for that?
As much as the developer would love to get started within 6 months in moving earth, chances of that happening outside of the demolition of the buildings, which is in 90 days for plan approval, is very, very is very unlikely. I just don't see it happening. So if not that the developer, the applicant, really the property owner would do this, but if they failed to meet the condition, if they didn't come in for the staff solicitor meetings, for example, because this approval is conditioned on that, it goes away. Okay, sure.
Any other questions? I don't see anything online. Nothing's online, so. Okay.
Call the question?
I don't think the question was ever asked. I think I interrupted before the motion was
second?
made. No, because I added, there were the
yeah.
additional, I think so. The motion, I think, needs to be reframed to include the conditions that I've articulated here this evening, in addition to the approval resolution that is attached to the motion.
So what I'm gonna say is, we're
So
going
moved?
to, we're gonna, so move, yes, based on what has been expressed and added. And so based off of that, and I guess I will say I'll ask for a second.
Second.
Okay. Do we ask the question?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, back onto the rest of the parts of the agenda here. We move
Thank you,
now.
gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for being patient tonight. Thank you. Move now to the township manager's report.
Thank you. I'll keep it short. The township was notified by the county that we're in receipt of a VPP grant from the county for a 724 corridor study. Would like to thank Mike and his firm for their efforts in helping us to get that grant. And that will be something that again, we'll start getting the details and all that put together, get back in front of the board, and then it'll be something for our, not only the board, but also our various groups and organizations to start getting involved with this. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Move next to the solicitor's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep mine brief as well. One thing that I did want to highlight is with respect to People's Park. There was a recommendation coming out of the Park and Rec meeting for the board to revisit the People's Park potential development phase. What the recommendation is to allow the civil engineer to evaluate the access point from Ridge Road and a potential parking area coming off of that access point, that's vehicular access. And then also to have Natural Lands perform task one of their, I'll call it $50,000 already authorized contract, which would be for a review and evaluation of the area that would be at the end of the proposed parking lot, wherever that may be once the civil engineer decides it goes, and if it fits. To allow for pedestrian access between what I'll call the two pond areas that are on private property on either side of the flagpole of People's Park. So I don't think that needs any kind of a motion this evening. That contract has already been authorized. It was administratively put on hold while many things were evaluated at People's Park. The administrative hold will be lifted for task one, and the civil engineer will look at the potential for access in park. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the update.
Joe, what is the status of the of note trucking versus the East Coventry before the Attorney General's office?
Nothing has been done by the Attorney General with that I'll call it appeal by Nolt.
Okay. Will there be any kind of a hearing or testimony?
The way that those appeals are often handled is without testimony or a hearing. There may be additional input solicited by the Attorney General, but it's basically something almost as if on briefs.
Okay. All right. And speaking of that, where do we stand on the two appeals by Benson? I mean, Artisan.
The first appeal is brief. We have not gotten an oral argument scheduled for that. The second appeal is winding its way through the, I'll call it the administrative process, transferring from trial court to Commonwealth Court. There have been some discussions, but I don't believe it would be appropriate to have those discussions publicly about settlement.
All right, so the reproduced record has not yet been presented in the second appeal?
The designation of the record has, but no, the reproduced record has not.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to move to public comment. Do we have it? Yep.
Marietta Geis, 119 Keene Road. I have some pictures I would like to show you of the property at 110 Keene Road, which I have been more than 10 times over the several years. If I could just have you look at them, please.
Sure.
We now have 15 lawnmowers in the front yard. We have a barn that has completely collapsed. We have weeds 6 feet tall in the enclosed fence. We have the grass is at least 2 feet tall. The house has been vacant for almost 5 years. And still, we have rats now in the neighborhood. And something really needs to be done with this property. The man has no intentions of ever fixing it or living in it. And I'm going to keep up my coming up here as long as I have to. We should not have to live with this in our neighborhood. The conditions are just terrible. And I know probably no one goes down Keene Road, but there must be something that can be done.
So Marietta, maybe I could help to address some of your concerns. The township, the Board of Supervisors recently passed, within the last several months, a ordinance that allowed for, that addressed bamboo, and that's been the discussion in large part, but it also addressed noxious weeds and things of that nature. So I believe and Ms. Barrett can speak to this better than I can, since it's a code enforcement issue that she's been dealing with the code official, Cindy Shank, but I believe that this property owner has been cited under that new ordinance, and also with respect to the unsafe condition of the barn, and that we're awaiting a hearing from the district court with respect to enforcement. So
And
if,
I appreciate all that, but I just want to keep it on the scope, on the radar, that it's just not sitting somewhere
it's not.
because we live with this.
Yeah.
And all of my neighbors are upset.
Yeah, we and very much appreciate you bringing it to the attention of the board. I don't want to talk too much about it since it's in litigation right now. But I don't think that hearing has been scheduled yet before the district court. If and not if, when it is scheduled,
Here.
we will we'll let you know for sure. And I'm sure Haley can do that.
We will.
Well, thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, so we, as Joe said, we're awaiting a court hearing at this time, and the barn was posted that it is on unsafe structure. So at this time, we're just in a waiting game.
That is that home that's at the very top of Keene Road. Is that it's further McBride and Keene. Okay. Okay.
Not that I want to open this can of worms, but do you have any knowledge of what the property owner intends to do with that property?
He has no intentions of living there, never did.
Okay.
He just got it at a good price. It's 3 acres of ground.
Okay.
And I understand he has 2 other properties in the same condition, not in our township, in other towns. And he doesn't live there. He lives, I understand, towards Douglas Hill or something.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm going to talk really fast. Monica Scriver, Valley Creek Lane. I just want to reiterate again, even though it's been brought up many, many times about traffic. It's been brought up many times in many meetings. In our comprehensive plan, under priority issue 2 of circulation plan, it's actually stated in there as well. In 2 different places about the concerns that we have about our traffic. And so I'm thinking to myself, if we bring a consultant in to ask residents about whatever, I think that if I were going to take money, I would take some money and do a very thorough, genuine plan on our circulation. And so that is one thing I think is a priority, especially and Attorney Clement telling us about the HOP process, and that there might be some other feedback other than, just what's presented here is it's comforting. I know you can't guarantee anything, but the idea of my grandma pulling out of some of these roads and, being scared to pull out of the roads, well, hell me. Okay, I'm scared at some of these roads. So that's one thing. The other thing is that Rick Traley's actually said in the PC meeting, he recommended, hey, before you look at any land for development, you should really be looking at the natural resources. And so I'm wondering, if you're drawing up a natural resources map, can we involve natural lands in that as part of the process? Because they know what they're talking about, right? And then finally,
Monica, hang on for a second, please.
Absolutely. They would absolutely be part of the process. So
Good.
what we'd be doing is creating the framework for your organizations to add and comment on. So that's all we would be doing. We'd be facilitating. We wouldn't be creating and opining on.
Okay, good. And then just the final thing to offset some cost of maybe a survey that would be happening with a consultant. In our supervisor handbook, it actually states under boards and commissions that the planning commission is responsible to create a comprehensive plan. And I really think they need to be part of the process. I'm not saying they have to do everything, but if we have a communication committee and we can get these people working together, I think it would be, again, more authentic and more true to our mission and vision, which I don't think we should be touching. Thank you.
Who are you? Who are you again?
I know, I forget. Dana Chaffone, Hearthstone Circle. Is there any update on the Parker Ford Tavern project?
Actually,
Who's gonna go first?
oh, we can, we are, interviewing, start to interview some professional architectural firms that have experience in historical restorations, as well as we are waiting on Representative Friel's office, who talked about trying to get $500,000 towards this. So we're waiting on that information. He's going to send us an application. We're going to try to get that in, which I believe he's trying to get it in appropriations before this year, before the fiscal year ends, which is June 30th.
Yeah.
So hand in glove with that is, I believe that Bob is going to be reaching out most likely to Mike and his team and talk about a structural engineer to get into that building, just to see what the condition of the building is from a structural integrity perspective. There is 85,000, I believe, earmarked this year, or there was a $10,000 donation made by Limerick Historical Society, I believe it was, plus 75 that the board had already earmarked. So that's the first step in the project too. We wanted the opportunity to talk to you folks about that too. But that, I believe, is a good first step to get somebody in there and just make sure the building is shored up and safe to be in and walking around in. Assuming that it is, then we'll get to the next step of engaging an architect that has a lot of experience in this kind of historic renovation to make sure that we stay true to the project itself. We did a lot of background research on this just to make sure that we were heading down the right path from a legal perspective. We explored a number of options. We explored federal opportunities, national organizations with respect to potential historic preservation partnership. Unfortunately, we found that because this is of very local significance, although there are potential ties to Washington, that there's not a lot of national kind of spotlight on the project, and it's hard for them to justify coming down and helping us with this project. But we're still going to move forward, just in a different way.
Yeah.
Joe, I think the other thing is that they don't have a historical registration number at the federal and state level for the Parkerford.
They're on the national register. The building is identified as having local historic significance as opposed to state or national. That means that the local folks here can preserve and protect and what have you. And it is in a sense protected by being on the register. But one of the biggest benefits that you get from being on that is a tax benefit. With the building being owned by the township, it doesn't help all that much, right? But there are other state programs that are available. We've been really digging into with Ms. Bear, the Historic Preservation and Museum at a state level organization opportunity for grants, not only for planning, but for actual construction as well. They're on a little bit of a different schedule than your traditional grants. But yes, part of the issue is the fact that it's of local as opposed to national or state significance.
Yeah, and there's a designation number or something like that that has not happened.
There's a designation number for the designation number for the registration, but again, that's linked to the local significance as opposed to the state or national.
It's on the register.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we need to know. And we have 2 years before the 250th anniversary of the crossing of the Schuylkill to get something done. We're trying, we are moving as fast as we can, but we have to make sure that whatever we do, we do it in such a way that we are sensitive to and sensitive to the needs of preservation, which is why we need to get on board an engineering company that is steeped in and highly experienced in historic preservation.
Yeah, I think if we could, those grants are there that
Oh,
Rep.
yeah,
Friel
we-
is
yeah,
talking
so,
about, if
yeah.
that's something we can pursue, I heard that, and I think that would be something that we wouldn't want to leave on the table. I don't know what's involved, but if there's anything else that the community can do to help,
You know what the committee can do? I'll see if the committee can.
yeah,
do it.
please.
Contact Paul Friel's office.
Okay.
Because Paul had buttonholed me on election day, telling me that he wants to get the information to us so he can go back to appropriations and get it and get hopefully $500,000 for us. We've not gotten the information yet, and we're running out of time. We're already at June 4. So
We'll get that information maybe from Bob of who, and we can send that out through EVA and get the community to send those emails or letters or what have you.
Speak to Haley afterwards.
Haley, okay, great. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
Elaine Melita, Holman Mill Road. I just want to thank you for figuring out some method to get discussion with Jones Motor on the commercial side of things. That was very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Nothing online.
Move to adjourn.
I'm going to move to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.